Hey, what's up, mortals? It's Echo here, back with a new video for you. Welcome to Season 2, Part 1 of What If Deku Became an Android. I just wanted to greet you guys by just saying sit back and relax. You're in for a treat. So we begin. Principal Nezu's job often required him to do some unpleasant things to appease the media. After all, Japan's biggest hero school was always under scrutiny from the media. But what he had to do now was easily among the most unpleasant things he'd ever have to do. In his office, sitting in front of him, was Shota Izawa.
I know why I'm here. Get it done with.
The sleep-deprived hero said dejectedly. I do not feel good about doing this, my friend. But we don't have a choice in the matter. The Hero Public Safety Commission is forcing my hand. If no one takes the fall for what happened, the media will force UA into closure. The principal explained. Izawa sighed.
It's fine. It was my fault anyways. To think that he...
The soon-to-be former teacher at UA couldn't finish his sentence. Nezu sighed. A true tragedy. We can only hope the investigation on the villain yields fruit.
Izawa balled his fist. That's another thing. Izuku Midoriya's power. I've never seen anything like him. And to think that he wasn't just beaten, but sent to the hospital for 2 months.
Nezu nodded at this. You told me that his power and potential surpassed Mirio's after his fight with Bakugo. Are you sure he was defeated by a villain? The principal said cautiously. Izawa stared the mouse-bearing man down, a cold glare on his face.
You're suggesting he's responsible for the injuries of the other two?
Oh, I don't genuinely believe that is the case, though it would be foolish not to consider it as a far-fetched possibility, Nezu replied.
Well, there's 2 reasons why it's not a possibility, no matter how far-fetched. Neither Tsuyu Asui or Mino Mineta have anywhere near enough power to do that much damage to the boy. Second of all, I noticed something in the short time I was able to teach him. He's hard-working, awkward, and determined. His quirk is strange, and its power is scary. But he doesn't have any malicious intent. If anything, he's as confused as we are about the nature of his power. And as hard as it may be to believe, his demeanor convinced me that he did not even intentionally hurt Ochako or Araka.
Izawa had stood up mid-speech and was looking down at the principal. Nezu was in deep thought. Well, your first reason would logically be valid, though it would not be presentable to the public. And your second reason? Although I trust your judgment, considering the circumstances, I don't think many people among the public and media will. The principal explained. Izawa sat back down, sighing. Well, normally, teachers get a week to clear their office. I'll give you 2. And a last lesson with 1A, Nezu said.
I'll need 2 hours to clear my office, and I don't deserve to teach that class anymore.
Izawa replied before getting up.
It was nice working with you, Principal. Thank you for telling me all this to my face. I doubt the commission will grant me that much respect before revoking my hero license.
And at that, Eraserhead walked out of Nezu's office for the last time.
Doctor, it is a pleasure to meet you,
All for One said as Jiro walked into the office-like room in the secluded building.
Few have been able to see this face in person and live,
the powerful villain said.
It's not a very nice face to look at. Eyes would help,
Jiro said bluntly. All for One laughed.
The disrespect! You have audacity, Doctor. Don't act like I'm the underdog here. I could kill you like an ant beneath my boot,
Jiro said coldly.
Which is why we're cooperating on my terms. How do you intend to use the boy to kill All Might? These mental triggers that Kirigiri told me about. Do they have enough influence on the mental state of the boy to make him kill his idol?
All for One asked, unintimidated.
I was able to make him see a piece of moving debris where there was nothing, and influence his decision-making without an issue. Normally, he would have enough knowledge and control on his power to prevent the beam from reaching the girl, which I overwrote in that moment. And that was all through an indirect external trigger. The trigger I implanted in his mind to kill All Might is far stronger,
the doctor explained.
The trigger is currently limited. I do not want All Might dead until after my next appearance at UA. For during that appearance, the pathetic hero will once again fail to protect the students under his care.
And what about after All Might's death?
You have many projects that do not involve the symbol of peace whatsoever. I would like some details.
All for One said calmly.
I chose what I gave you. Your life is in my hands. Don't overstep your bounds, Mr. Shigaraki. Though I will tell you this, I am a scientist who wishes to advance his craft.
The doctor replied.
The name Shigaraki belongs to Tamura now, Doctor.
All for One answered. Jiro let out a chuckle without an ounce of joy.
That man-child, you entrust him with your name, your legacy. The boy is so pathetically insecure that you must assign him a nanny in the form of Kiragiri. He has more potential than you see, Doctor. You work with machines where I work with minds.
All for One answered.
Now, when will the girl be ready? He asked. I'm the one asking questions, fool.
Jiro shot back bitterly.
The girl's quirk has more potential than anything I've come into contact with in recent times. And there was another boy I spotted during the attack. Answer me.
All for One said simply.
Know your place,
the doctor replied, looking at All for One. Energy beams shot from his eyes faster than the old villain could react. And just like that, All for One's left arm and shoulder were blown off.
Don't pretend like you can hold a candle to my power. If I went for the head, no quirk in your body could have saved you,
the doctor said. All for One hadn't even made a sound at his arm getting destroyed.
You didn't aim for the head because you need me. My research and my nomus interest you. You wish to use them to develop that little side project of yours. That much I know. And if you want to use my data, I wish to know more.
All for One said, as though nothing happened. Jiro stayed silent for nearly a minute before finally opening his mouth once again.
I have named the project Cell.
Katsuki Bakugo was in a terrible mood as he walked into UA, and as he entered Class 1A, it was clear that his mood was shared by most of the group. Ever since the USJ attack 2 months ago, 1A had lost much of the energy it once had. News reaching that Izawa had gotten fired to appease the media only worsened the mood of the class. They all knew that the pro-hero had done absolutely everything in his ability to protect the students. The explosive teen was about to angrily sit in his chair when some commotion at the back of the class caught his attention. Midori is coming back next week, Bakugo heard Ochako Uraraka say. Immediately, the explosive teen got up from his chair and approached the group at the back, joined by Todoroki. You know, the only thing they have on camera of what happened in the ruin zone was something that looked like a big justice whatever that he uses, the brunette stated. That seems awfully suspicious if you ask me. And Mineta and Tsuyu are in a way worse shape than he was. They won't be out of the hospital for another 4 months at least, she continued. Are you saying that he attacked them? Mina Ashido asked. Well, it's not like he's never done it before, Ochako muttered. Energy beams usually don't break bones. Todoroki interjected coldly. All eyes turned to the split-haired boy. I'm just telling the truth, he added. The class's gaze turned back to Ochako. Well, all I'm saying is that I don't think they should let him in again unless he's properly investigated. What do you guys think? She asked. Bakugo was quite annoyed at the girl and immediately shot back.
What do you know about Deku? He beat me in a fight. Me! There's no universe where Great Boy and the Frog could touch me in a fight. If he attacked them, he wouldn't have a scratch on him.
Well, what if he injured himself to make it believable? Ochako retorted hesitantly. But before Bakugo could answer, another voice cut in. He wouldn't do that. At least he'd never willingly do it. The class turned to look at the speaker. It was Kyoka Jiro, still at her desk, looking down at her phone. She had scarcely spoken to anyone since what happened at the USJ. The class didn't know much about what had happened to her, Yayorozu, and Kaminari during the attack, but she was still sitting at her desk while they had been declared dead. And that was all the class needed. Ochako didn't reply, and Jiro prepared to put her headphones back on. But Bakugo interjected.
Hey, weird ears, you stay...
He stopped as Todoroki put his hand on his shoulder, shaking his head, letting out a disgruntled, Bakugo returned to his seat. The rest of the class soon followed suit. Kyokajiro didn't raise her head the whole time. In reality, she wasn't looking at her phone. Her eyes weren't even open. She just didn't want to talk to anyone. She didn't have the guts to tell them. She opened her tired eyes and raised her head as a voice she'd never heard before rang out in the classroom. This video is sponsored by Skillshare. With the services Skillshare provides, you can get access to many in-depth tutorial videos on basically anything you want to learn. Each class that they have is bound to help you with your creative endeavors. Do you want to learn how to make videos like this one? Do you want to learn how to write scripts or edit audio? Skillshare has you covered. And with our link, you can have a 14-day free trial. So what are you waiting for? Click the link now and get 14 days worth of free classes. Link in the description below. A very short old man in a white and yellow hero costume walked into the room.
Hello, class. I'm Gran Torino. I used to teach here, and now I'm back. I'll be your homeroom teacher for the foreseeable future.
The class looked skeptical. Bakugo slouched back and propped his feet up on his desk. Immediately, the short old man leapt at lightning speeds, knocking Bakugo out of his chair and returning to the stand in a single swift motion. A few students snickered.
I've retired, but I was still a pro hero, brats.
The old man said indignantly.
Now, next week we'll be holding the UA Sports Festival,
he announced. The class stayed silent at this. Kyoka's heart sank as she heard the news.
But sir, are you sure it's safe after the USJ attack? The villains haven't been caught yet,
Tenya Ida said. Gran Torino looked at him with a serious glare.
I think you kids deserve some details on what's going on. The school is getting pressured hard by the Hero Commission and the media. If the sports festival doesn't go through, we risk getting closed down. UA needs to prove that it can recover after what happened, and the Hero Commission is choosing this method. I can't say I agree, but the best thing I can do is to help prepare you kids for it,
the old hero said.
Don't worry, sir. We've been training. We won't let something like the USJ happen ever again. We've all been training,
Jiro Kirishima said. He had red spiky hair and a quirk to harden his skin.
Well, for now, I'll see how well you all know your quirks. Change into your costumes and meet me at Battle Center C,
the old hero stated, skeptical. As the class emptied out, one student stayed behind, Kyoka Jiro. Sir, do I still need to participate since I'm... she asked, not able to finish her sentence. Gran Torino looked at her solemnly.
I don't think you have to, considering the timing. Do what's best for you, young Jiro,
the old man said. She nodded. Thank you, sir. The rest of the day passed by like a blur. The girl couldn't bring herself to put her heart into anything. After school, she walked to a nearby hospital before going home. She asked the receptionist for the room number of the patient she was there to visit and headed there. There was something she needed to tell him. As she opened the door to the room, Izuku Midoriya's green hair and eyes greeted her. Kyoka, why are you here? Are you okay? Deku asked, surprised. Jiro couldn't bring herself to look into his eyes as she sat down beside him. She stayed quiet for a few seconds. I'm leaving UA, Deku. I can't be a hero. She didn't see his reaction since she was avoiding looking at him at all costs. Huh? Why? What happened? He asked. Do you know what happened at the USJ? She asked, voice shaking a little. I just woke up this morning. I don't know much. I know a few of the villains escaped, but... Dinky... He's gone. She started. Quietly, she caught Deku up on what had happened at the USJ and its other consequences. Momo's body was never found. Izawa had gotten fired, and the sports festival was going to be held next week. A mountain of guilt in her was building up with every word she said. It was the first time in 2 months she'd replayed the entire day start to finish in her mind, and it was painful. Deku stayed silent as she finished her story. I couldn't do anything. Momo and Denki, they were real heroes. They fought until... She couldn't finish the sentence. I was useless. I failed as a hero, she said. Before Deku could say anything, she balled her fists and hit the desk. Words and tears she'd been bottling up for the past 2 months were letting themselves out. Why? Why did you do it, Denki? Why did you choose me? I'm nothing compared to you. I'm not brave. I can't think on my feet. I don't have the power. I don't have the talent. I don't have the optimism. I don't have what it takes. I don't deserve to be a hero. You do. If you just stayed there and let me die, you could.
Jiro stopped as she felt a hand on her arm. She finally brought her now teary eyes to meet Deku's. There were a multitude of emotions running through them. I don't even need to ask you to know that you did everything you could. You gave it your all and you didn't run or hide from danger. You're as much a hero as any of us. Don't ever think or say otherwise, Kyoka. He said with as strong a voice as he could. All of this is hitting him, and he's still able to talk like that. The girl thought he was a real hero. She let out a mixed sob and chuckle. So what if she was brave? So what if she tried? I tried, but I failed. I'm breathing stolen air. Every time my heart beats is... Deku's arm gripped her even harder. He was frowning now. Denki saved you because he wanted you to live. He wanted you to keep trying, for you to keep breathing, for your heart to keep on beating. The greenette said, You're not stealing anything. With those words, the scene played back in Jiro's mind again, as it had countless times. Hey, your heart is beating pretty slowly there. Don't die. She heard those words as clearly as ever. She saw his smiling, bloodied face, the guilt crushing her again, and she barely stopped herself from diving back into the bed to stuff her face in a pillow and cry. It's not healthy to keep it inside, Izuku said. Her face must have been quite easy to read. And so the floodgates opened. She cried like a baby. For how long she didn't know, but the whole time Deku's hand was on her arm, and his face had a smile on it regardless of the pain in his eyes. He was hurting too, and as much as he wanted to hide it, Kyoka could tell. It only made her sobs louder. When she finished, the girl looked away from Deku. There's something... She started, but she couldn't tell him. It was as if the words were shoved back down her throat as she tried to say them. Never mind. Bye, Deku, she said softly. In her mind, different words were being said. I'm a coward. Pathetic coward. Whatever you do and wherever you go, you're a hero to me, Kyoka. A hero who deserves every breath she's taking, Deku said. Thanks, the girl said shakily. If only you knew. If only I had the strength to tell you. The girl rushed out of the room with that one thought. She ran to the nearest bathroom, locked herself in a stall, and threw up into the toilet. She was disgusted with herself. He was curious about what he was, and she had an answer, and yet she couldn't even imagine how she'd tell him. His words played back in her head again and again and again. You're as much of a hero as any of us. You gave it your all. You didn't run or hide from danger. You're a hero to me. That last line hit her like a punch to the gut every time she heard it. He was the last person who should see her as a hero, not when she couldn't even help him with the whole reason they'd first talked. His search for who he was. She wiped her eyes. I have to tell him. I'm not ready now, but I'll tell him. A hero helps people. I'll help him learn who he is. A hero. Was there really no way she could do it? More words Deku said floated into her mind. He wanted you to keep trying, he'd said. Before she could convince herself not to, she pulled out her phone and sent an email to Principal Nezu. Kyoka Jiro would participate in the sports festival.
Thank you all for indulging yourself in all this information thus far. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, there are a few more things that I'd like to go over before the video ends. Firstly, I'd like to thank our patrons. Speedy Flames, Ethan Davis, Terry Chills, Shifter Milas, Adam Zagil, Zill, Zabbeat03, and Joshua Phelps. Secondly, I'd also like to thank all of our YouTube members: Toya Costa, Rob the King, Sith Lord 906, CF2364 and Knuckles, Remu Tempest, Angel Juarez, Donald C. Stewart, Bryant Greer, and Demonized Fox. Thirdly, if you're in the mood for some great storytelling, We the Celestials has you covered. Our We the Celestials, My Hero Academia, and Naruto What If channels retell the story of their namesake anime with a twist. Check it out if you're interested. Fourthly, on behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank everyone involved in today's excellent content production. Their details can be found in the description below. Lastly, if you're interested in what we do here at We the Celestials, I'd like to extend an invitation to join the team. The only caveat is that we only accept members from 16 years or older to join our crew. You can sign up for whichever category fulfills your interest by joining the recruitment Discord using the link in the description below. We're always looking for members to join us. Well, that's it from us from today's video. So thank you all for watching and have a great day.